Welcome to Magic is Real, the podcast where we focus on spiritual journeys, near-death experiences, and all things metaphysical and spiritual. If this podcast resonates with you, it would mean the world if you could like, subscribe, and share with like-minded friends. Thank you so much for being here with an open heart and mind. I wish you peace, light, and love always. Right. Hello, Magic is Real listeners and family. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for being patient during the hiatus. I'm sure you were all eagerly awaiting the next episode. I have been doing some traveling, which is how I found my next guest. This is Maddie. Maddie is my new friend.
Hi,
And
everyone.
thank you so much for being here. We're really excited to be here together because we have a really cool story to tell you. So this is going to be Magic is Real story time. And I will start by, I just got chills. I feel like I'm really
Oh my
excited
gosh.
because I feel like
I'm
there's
already
more. I know,
excited.
me too. So, hey guys, so here's what's happening. I went to LA a couple weeks ago and I got on the plane. I was ready to take a snooze because we had a long flight ahead of us. And I'm getting chill after chill. Oh my gosh, Paula. You guys will understand what this is about shortly. But oh no, I'm telling this story all wrong. So the night before I get on the plane, I'm sitting there and I just decided I need to get a Led Zeppelin t-shirt. I really need one. It's my favorite band. Why don't I have one? That's silly. So I start looking on Poshmark and eBay, looking for one. Didn't see one I liked at the time, but um, moved on to the next day. So the next day, I am at the airport and I have a layover in Boston, and so I'm in the gate and I look up and there's this woman standing there and she is wearing a Led Zeppelin t-shirt. So that caught my attention. So then I boarded the plane and that same woman sat next to me. We were both in the aisle. And so we're sitting next to each other. And then her beautiful future daughter-in-law, Maddie, says, "Excuse me." I was actually sitting in the middle, and Maddie and her fiance Nick said, "Excuse me, would you mind just switching seats to the aisle?" And I was like, "I love the aisle. I'd rather be in the aisle because I have to pee all the time." So that was our introduction. She was so cute, had such a big warm smile, as you can see. So they sat next to me. And I'm like hunkering down and thinking, we're just going to take a nap. Just kind of going to sleep and rest because we've got a long flight to Los Angeles. But Maddie and were just chatting for a few minutes before the flight took off. And I happened to mention that I'm a medium, which is a big thing to spring on someone, but somehow I felt it was fine to tell her that. She was so receptive and open about it. And then mentioned to me that her mother had just passed away in October. At which point I said, I just suddenly felt called. I just said, you know what? I'd love to give you a reading when we get back home. I'll send you a Zoom link. I'd love to see if I can connect with your mom. I just feel like that's something I'd like to do for you. And it would help me too. I always like to, I give professional readings, but I also, if there's somebody that I feel needs a reading, it helps me too. So I said, well, let me get your contact information. And then when I get home, we'll schedule something because I just didn't think I could be put on. I was like, if I'm on the spot, I don't know if I can do this. And I didn't want to overpromise anything. But in my head, I said, Maddie's mom, if you're here, please, not if you're here, I knew she was there, but like I said, please send me something and tell me what you would like me to tell Maddie. So got her information. And all of a sudden, I just heard something in my head. And I turned to Maddie and I was like, was your mom's was your mom's name Marie by any chance? Or I saw MAR. And that was when you
Yeah,
said,
I was like, "Oh my gosh," because you kept saying, like, "I'm seeing MAR." Like, what is MAR? And I think we had talked a little bit about my sister at that point as well, and I was like, "Oh my god, my mom and my sister's middle name is Marie," which is so crazy,
yeah,
and the things that you knew, no one would have ever been able to guess. It
this
it
is
was insane.
This is where I'm gonna let you take over. I'm getting chills again because
I have them too.
I know it's incredible. I just want to preface this by saying Maddie's mom in spirit is named Paula. She is one of the strongest spirits I've ever connected with, and we'll talk a little bit about that and why that is. Sometimes it's her personality for sure, but a lot of times when a medium and a spirit have similar energy, and also you and I have similar energy. We're both very open, warm. That's when we commute. We're on the
Totally.
same vibration. We're on the same wavelength. So I'll just kind of have you start the story from wherever you want to, um, and and tell your side of the story, and then we'll continue on.
Yeah. So I had just gone to Boston to meet Nick's family, and his aunt is actually a psychic medium as well. So, and I have always been into that. Like, I've always, me and Shannon actually, we bonded because we would watch Long Island Medium and we would do The Voice.
Yes, we did.
And it was just so awesome. And I have been trying to find a reputable medium to go to. I've seen Cindy Keza, I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Yeah.
Um, and I have been dying to get a reading from someone and just talk to my mom because like everything happened so quickly. And and then I go to Boston and I get a reading from Nick's aunt, and it was cool. It was awesome. And but I kind of like left with some unanswered questions. So I get on the flight to Boston, and then you mentioned that you're a medium, and I was like, oh my god, if you know anything, like please don't be afraid to tap me. Like tell me anything, please. And all of a sudden, you're just like, you have an older sister, right? And I was like, yes, I do. And she's like, you were like, she doesn't live here. She lives out of state. And I'm like, that's right. You knew she had kids. And then you were like, they were 4 and 2. I'm like, oh my God, they're 4, 2, and 6 months old. Like, I have no clue how you even knew that.
Your mom
And
told me.
um, no kidding. And you even mentioned my dog, which
Oh yeah,
this part is so freaking crazy.
I'll tell that from my side of the story too, because that is one of the things where that blew me away. And I do give professional readings all the time, but some are just easier and stronger than others. And this one was like your mom was just it was like she was sitting right between us. We were just having a conversation. So when I had said MAR. She said her middle name was Marie. And then I said she passed of cancer, didn't she? She'd passed in hospice. And I said, and I see a little Yorkie next in her lap. And I said, and the dog's name starts with an R, like I heard R something. At which point you tell me what you said about the
Oh my
Yorkie.
God. I was like, he is a Yorkie and his name is Ruckus. That is the
Ruckus,
most
that's right.
random name. No, no one would ever guess a
No, I wouldn't
Yorkie
have.
named Ruckus.
Yeah, except they're crazy. And so at this point I knew, and at one point Paul had told me that the dog was with her when she was, when she was passing or close to the time when she was passing in bed. And you confirmed that that was true. And I saw the dog so clearly. You said that you now have Ruckus. Ruckus is your dog now. And these are some of the things that your mom brought through for evidence that it was her. I was able to feel her energy as I do now. Like she's just incredible. Like I've never had a spirit this strong for me where like I can just mention her name and she just starts coming in really strong. So I had this feeling of this woman who was just so animated and bubbly and fun and like a partier, but like always around people and always the life of the party. And um, she's even now when she's coming through, like she just keeps sending these what I call spirit tingles through me and through you. Um, and I could sense too just the feeling that I had as if the two of you just being like the Gilmore Girls, like best friends. And she really
Yes.
came through with a message about thanking you for really being her caretaker and you taking on the mother role. Some of the really cool highlights that even blew me away were at one point I heard her laughing. Well, I mean, I kept hearing her laughter and I felt that she was a smoker because when I hear a smoker's laugh, that's just kind of gives me an indication that someone was a smoker. You said, yes, she is. So I said, let me see if she'll tell me what kind of cigarettes she smoked. And I turned to you and I said, look, I used to be a smoker. And she just said golden. I don't know what cigarette that would be. And what did you tell me?
I was like, she smoked Marlboro Light Golds.
Like how I didn't even know that was a thing.
Insane.
Insane. So there were so many things. I'm trying to just go through them in my head because oh yeah, the other thing that I had seen that I saw was a map. I saw a map and I said it has those like red push pins in it. And what did you tell me about that? And I said it's somebody traveling. To me that's representing somebody traveling like around the world. And what did you tell me?
So there's a couple things to that. I'm looking at it right now. I have a map with red push pins in it in my room. Um, and my mom was a flight attendant. So she was constantly traveling. She took us everywhere. And you even mentioned, you were like, I see like Europe, Indonesia, places in Asia. I've been to all those places. I went there with my mom.
That's
It's
unreal. Like I even was so blown away I couldn't believe it. And a lot of times like after about 40 minutes I'm like, okay, that's kind of all we had. But your mom just kept talking and talking and talking. It was like we could have hung out all night. And
that's her.
I know, like and it was so fun. Um I know there was the traveling thing and we'll get to the other part. I know that because there's a follow-up to this. Oh yeah. Then I had mentioned that she was bringing up Palm Springs. And yeah, tell me about Palm
Oh,
Springs.
so I think it was just about a year ago. It was December of 2021. My mom had a couple layovers in Palm Springs, and she would call me and she'd be like, Maddie, drive out to Palm Springs. Like, come stay with me in my hotel room. And we can go hang out and we can go get breakfast. And just like come hang out with me. And of course, I would drive over. My mom's my best friend. So I would go drive over. I did it a couple times actually. And we would just like hang out in the room. We went to go get dinner a couple times. We got drinks with the fellow flight attendants that she was flying with. And but I couldn't really find like a true significance to Palm Springs because I had only done it a couple times.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a place that we went to often. And then and you were like, okay, this is so random. I'm gonna say it. Who is Elmer? I'm like, oh my God, that is the restaurant that we went and ate at in Palm Springs.
I have chills. I couldn't
I
even,
do too.
it's too
It
specific.
it
Like
is.
the reason I love sharing this stuff how is because it's like it's such strong evidence that when we quote unquote die, only our bodies perish. The rest, consciousness is forever. Consciousness and the ability to communicate telepathically, communicate and stay connected in spirit, it's so real and it sounds so crazy. But like the more and more that I see it from my own work, there's no denying that there's something happening here. One of the other things is one of the first things I had said to you was, who's Steven? And you pointed to the guy sitting next to me on the other side, and you said, well, that's Nick's dad. And then I
Mm-hmm.
saw clearly a x-ray of a spine. And I said, who just had spine surgery? And that's when you confirmed, and his wife Hilda confirmed that he had had spine surgery not too long ago. And
Yep.
these are the things spirit shows us just to let us know that they are there with us. They know what's going on. And also to show us, hey, it really is me. Because how would I know about Elmer? I mean, Elmer? That,
Right?
like, sh-
It's so
like,
crazy.
how could I guess that? Where would I ever come up with that? I could come up with it, but it would be pretty random. Um, there were some other things which I'll let you fill in too. But one of the things that I thought was really cool too is that some people, there's a phrase that all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. I don't know if that's true, but that seems to be the understanding. I never advertise myself as a psychic because I don't really have a way of, I have a way of, I can kind of feel into you and know, I kind of see you working with kids and you can validate that. But there are things that are down the pike where I can tell you, like, you're going to do this or that. but I don't like doing psychic work that much because I can't validate it in the moment. But what was so cool is you told me you're 24, and I said to you, and you and Nick have plans to, get married, and I said normally I'd be like, oh honey, no, you're too young. Like that's no, no, no. But I looked over at Nick and I just said, and your mom said to me, I heard her say, I love him, and she said, he's the son I never had. And you told me that she had said that, correct? Or
She
something
would say that all the
all the
time.
time.
Like
Right.
I I was actually going through videos last night, and I kind of would like sneaky take videos. Like my mom didn't know I was recording during like her last month, just because I wanted to preserve those conversations. And one of the conversations, clear, like looking back on it, it is so insane that my mom was able to do this. Um, One of the videos that I have, she's like, I don't want you to be alone when I die. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, I won't be alone. Nick will be with me. It's okay. And when my mom did pass, I was alone all day long. And Nick had just gotten off of work and he walks in the door. My mom lifts her head up. She was kind of like in and out of sleep. She lifts her head up, sees him, smiles, and was gone within 5 minutes. And I totally had forgot she had said that she didn't want me to be alone. And I was like, it's okay. Like, Nick has got me. It's okay. And she really did. She waited for him to get there. So I wasn't there,
Oh my God.
or I wasn't alone.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, gotta collect myself. That is so beautiful. That's just who she is. Like she just always wants to make sure you're taken care of. Um, God, I still feel her so strongly. It's like a lot of times it doesn't happen, but with her, she's always with me. I feel like well, I have more to say about her, but I wanted to say that what she told me, I could say I picked it up psychically, but I really felt that she told me this, that I said to you, you want to have kids, don't you? And you said, yes. And I said, I see you. And like when you're 26 but I see you not like, I don't see you at 26 with two girls that are this age. Obviously, that wouldn't make sense. But what I said is in 2 years, I feel you'll have a child. But I saw you so clearly with two little girls, and I could see the height difference. So it just felt like they were 2 years apart. And I saw the backs of them wearing it with blonde hair. And then I just turned to you and I remember the way I said it because it came to me. So I just looked at you and I went, Savannah? And tell me what your reaction was.
I was like, shut the heck up. What is going on right now?
I know.
And later, a couple days later, I had sent you a picture and it was a screenshot from a note that I had in 2021. And I have like maybe like girl or boy names, whatever, when I have
You showed
kids.
it to me on the plane because you said
Oh,
to
yeah.
me, you did because I said that and you said, wake Nick up right now and ask him what I said I want to name our kid. And then you said, wait a second, to let him sleep. I have it on my phone. And you showed me the notes and it said Savannah Grace. You said girl's name, Savannah Grace. You had like maybe another name under there, but that was the top one. And I was like, that right there, I can't even say that I picked that up psychically. That was your mom yelling her name in my ear. It was so clear. Like I could hear her mom. She's tell Savannah. So then I said, well, I'm going to try to take a little snooze. And I kind of like went into my put my
You're
mask
so
on as
funny.
I was like, I put my mask
You're
on
like,
as
I'm
if it was,
going in.
I'm going in as much for what it's worth. I mean, I don't know. I'd already had my mask off because I don't want to read with my mask on. And so I put it on and all of a sudden I heard so loud in my head, Ireland. And so I said, okay. So I said, hey, Maddie, Ireland, she wants you to say. Tell me what your response was.
I was like, shut the fuck up. I'm so sorry for
It's
my
okay. It
language.
does not
But
matter.
I was like, Nick and I have been trying to plan a trip to Ireland for the past 3 years because their anniversary is the day after St. Patrick's Day. And I was just going through a bunch of old pictures of my mom, and I had just come across one of her in Ireland. I was like, how do you know this? I was
I
just
don't even
talking
know.
to Nick about wanting to go to Ireland. I love Guinness. We just went to an Irish bar. I was like,
Oh,
I want to
yeah.
go to the Guinness factory. Like, what in the world?
So crazy. And then I said, all right, I'm going back in. And I go back in, and then I just saw in my mind, she showed me this big field, like everything she showed me was an exaggeration of something. It wasn't just like one thing. She showed me this entire field of daisies just to, so I got it right. And I just turned to you and I go, field of daisies. And you said,
I was talking to everyone about how I want a tattoo of daisies because that was my mom's wedding flower.
I can't even, and you should have seen me, you guys. I mean, I do this for a living, but I still can't ever get over it. And maybe, look, if I were Teresa Caputo or Matt Frazier, they'd be like, yeah, that's how it works. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Monica the medium, my teacher, she'd be like, yeah, that's normal. To me, it was like, here's the thing about your mom as it relates to me, is that I had a reading that same week, and it was really a tough one for me. It was a 3-hour reading because I just felt like I was pulling teeth. I was overthinking it. I wasn't quite getting it. I did end up getting some really amazing stuff, but it took forever to get there. And whenever that happens, I start to think I'm just not like, there's that imposter syndrome, but it's also, I don't know, maybe I need more work. I don't think I'm ready for this yet. I need to, I'm still so amateur. I don't feel good about this. And I'll get kind of bummed out, even though there was some excellent stuff in there. And then what I heard your mom say felt, it was more like, it wasn't I heard her, she just told me this through telepathy, is that your mom, and Hilda said this too, your mother-in-law, I'm going to call her, that she said, well, when we told Hilda what was happening, she said, well, first of all, doesn't it make sense? Your mom, first I told her about the Led Zeppelin shirt. And I was like, that is like, what, I don't even know what we call it, but there's this thing with mediums where sometimes the night before, the day before, we'll see a symbol or a sign that's a precursor to the reading. Sometimes it's actually something that we're going to tell you, like, oh, they want to talk about a blue bicycle. But sometimes it's just something like Led Zeppelin because it's all planned out. It's your mom
Oh my
planned
gosh.
it
I
to
am
draw my,
such
and
chills.
me too. And that's her validating that this is true, that she did orchestrate this. Oh, I got bigger, huge chills. She's like, yes, I did. Party planner is kind of what she said.
I you yes, mom.
Yes, she just said party planner. She knew we were going to be on the same flight. You had talked about wanting like a proper, not to say that Nick's aunt wasn't a fabulous medium, but just like you wanted to see a medium. She gave me the idea about the Led Zeppelin shirt to draw attention to the fact that not only does your mother-in-law, was she wearing a Led Zeppelin shirt, or maybe, and she inspired her to wear that shirt on that day so that I would take notice. Also, your father-in-law has a Led Zeppelin tattoo. So there was this really big theme of Led Zeppelin, which is amazing. She was also a flight attendant. So she came to us on a plane because that's where she worked for 33 years, you had said.
Mhm.
Then she was also there to help me because she needed to show me that, oh no, honey, you can do this. You just have to. I have a trust tattoo on my wrist. You just have to let go and trust. Why was I able to do this on the plane? Because I was relaxed. I was not thinking about work. We were just in a very relaxed setting. We were up in the middle of space, floating in the middle of space. And your mom needed to give you a message. She needed to give me a message. And she's like, let's do it on a plane. That's where I feel the most comfortable. So all of this stuff came together. And that's what blows my mind about this story is it wasn't just any old reading. It was like your mom orchestrated the entire thing from the other side, which shows
She
the
really did.
power of spirit and how they can, for example, my friend Derek in spirit, he leaves me dimes next to my car all the time. And I just know they're from him. It happened. I have a pile of them in my car. I collect them. Once again, I went to my car yesterday. There was a shiny new dime sitting right outside my door. And I was like, I know that there's, and people could say, well, how did he get the dime there? Well, what they do is they motivate the person carrying the dime to drop the dime somehow in the way their arm moves, just the way their pocket might have a hole in it, whatever it is. They have this ability to sort of like orchestrate things from the other side. And that's what's so cool. So, and I'm going to have you fill in some stuff too, but so we hugged goodbye afterwards because at this point we're besties and you're my new little
Right.
sister. And I'm like, I feel like I've known you my whole life and I love you and you're
I
the cutest thing
I
ever.
really do. Oh my
Me
gosh. I don't
too.
know how we just clicked.
We clicked like, no, but like nobody's business. So then the next day, I'm taking a nap, so tired, or like the whatever the yeah. And I'm in bed and I looked up your Facebook and I saw that your profile picture was of you and your mom. So I saw the picture of your mom and I just asked her, I said, Paula, do you have anything else? And before I even finished my sentence, she showed me a koala bear. So I texted you and I said, okay, your mom, I said, do you have a stuffed animal of a koala bear? Like, did she go to Australia? Did she give you like a stuffed animal from Australia? Or did like, what is it about the koala bear? And you texted me, I have chills again. Go ahead. Tell the rest of it.
Okay, well, first of all, I was also going through old pictures, like I said, of my mom, and I came across a picture of her in Australia with a koala bear. I even sent it to you,
You did.
and I was like, "That is so random." I have a little stuffed koala bear in my room right now. I could go grab it. And when we were in Boston, Nick was trying to plan a trip to Australia with his uncle. That was the entire topic of conversation for our last day that we were there. They were just talking about Australia. I was talking about how my mom and dad went to Australia, and my mom, uh, went and swam with the Aborigines because she was so hot. She was like, "I don't care, Joe. I'm just gonna do whatever. I'm so freaking hot right now."
Oh,
And I was like, "How did you get that?"
yeah.
Like,
And it's
it's
amazing because the way she was teaching me too, because I had been having like when I looked back on that reading that didn't go so well, I realized the only reason I wasn't connecting until well, it's interesting. I was doing the reading, struggling, pulling teeth because I knew this woman had lost her husband who was her best friend. So I was focused so much on getting a message from her husband that I was ignoring like all of these other souls that had things to say to her first. And I was like, why am I not getting anything from him? Why am I not getting anything from him? And it was because I was searching, was seeking. I'm like, what can I get for her? And then finally when I said to her, you know what, I may just have to like refund this and make this more of just like a practice reading and see what the minute I said that, suddenly I was getting like specifics from her husband, which I actually posted on my Instagram account and TikTok because suddenly it was easy. Your mom wanted to show me how easy it is. I literally said, what else do you want to? They think at the speed of light. So they communicate at the speed of light. So faster, I'm sure. So before I even had the sentence out of my, not my mouth, but my head, she popped a koala in there faster than I could even process it myself. And that's her way of saying, first thing that comes in, first thing that just trust the first thing that comes in. And ever since then, I've been using it. And I actually went to LA, saw some, so, oh, so this is part of the story. And there's more about your mom too. So the next day I went and visited my friend Shannon, who was on the podcast. She is called The Medium. She's an incredible medium. And I'm at her house and I took what your mom showed me. And Shannon explained to me, okay, so she lives right by the Culver Studios lot. And she said, you know, these houses used to be the bungalows where they would house the stars when they were filming movies. And she said, do you feel anything in this house? I said, I don't really like walk into a place and go, oh, I feel spirit. I'm not really aware of that. She said, well, guess who used to live? And I go, Jennings. And she looked at her mom and they start laughing. She goes, the woman who lived here before, her name was Jenny Rivera, Jennni. She said, you heard it wrong. But yes, that is who lived here. She was a famous, I think she was a Grammy nominated or award. She won a Grammy. And I said, and then I'm like, she died really young. Like she was like in her late 30s. She said she passed in a plane crash at like 42. And she said, my daughter has seen her in the house. Her daughter is 8. And she said, my daughter said, Mommy, there's this lady sitting at the table and she's got big blonde hair and she's like blue eyeshadow. So Shannon found a picture of Jenny Rivera standing next to a whole bunch of other blonde women and said, Winnie, which lady? And she pointed right to the lady that it is. And she
oh
said,
my
Mommy, that's the lady
gosh.
that I see walking in the hallway. And I said, did it freak her out? She goes, no, because I've taught her since birth that it's normal. And that's something I also want to talk about is that we often as we get older, we're all mediums, but we lose that ability because we shut it down. And society tells us it's not real or it's our imagination, or we just switch our focus to more academic things or to practical things. And I remembered what your mom said when she said, do you know who lived here? I just took the name that flew right in and I went with it. So then I went and saw my best friend and her fiance. and I'm having dinner with them. And I asked his dad, because I knew that he had this really, really loved his dad the way he, loves his dad so much, and lost him a while back, but it's still this big wound. So I just said to him, I just said in my head the guy's name, and I said, "Can you give me a message?" And I turned around to, I'll just make him anonymous. And I just said, "Your dad just said Saturday Night Live." And he turns around from the kitchen and goes, "Are you serious?" Or something like that. And he goes, "We used to watch that together every Saturday night. That was like our thing that we did." And then I said, "He wants to talk about comic books." He said, "I literally was just telling a friend that he used to buy me Archie comic books." And it helped, because suddenly it was like, your mom helped burst this open, where now I'm like, I get it. I get it. Okay, I see how this works. She's teaching me. So that's really cool. So um, then I think it was the next day, I'm like, "Okay, Paul, you want to keep playing this? Like, you want to keep playing this game?" And I asked her for another sign. What was the sign? Now I can't remember what it was. Um,
Um,
was it something, or was it, now I'm
I
forget because there was something
I'd
I
have to
asked you.
look back in our texts.
Oh, I would too. Oh my gosh, how did I forget this? I feel like there was something else that maybe, I don't know, maybe it wasn't, but the 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 whole thing came together in this way that's like, she's able to help you. She's able to help me. She's able to help others by sharing the story. But I would love to hear too, if just kind of like what your experience of, first of all, you and your mother have this soulmate bond, that you've been together for lifetimes upon lifetimes together. And that also helps, I think, with the connection, and why it's so strong between all of us is, you also just have so much connectedness, and also awareness and open-mindedness about what's really happening out there. But I would love to hear too, first of all, anything I forgot to mention that you wanted to talk about, but just how does this experience, or ones like it, even just the fact that you talked with Nick's aunt, who, funny enough, I had told you your mother keeps talking about pie. And
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I was like, "Why is my mom?" Because in, the reading that I got with Nick's aunt, she was like, "What's up with pie?" I'm like, "I have no freaking
yeah.
clue."
And we still don't know, right?
I still have no
We
clue.
still don't know.
The only thing that I can come up with is my mom would always say, "Shut your pie hole."
That's right. That's right. And guess what? Because of the way that your mom communicates, I know that's what that was. I know that's what it was. That was her only
I
way of explaining. That's her personality. She would show a pie, because because she wanted us to say pie hole. The thing about it is, that was so cool to me, is hearing that Nick's aunt also said the same thing. Also, I had told you I see Wizard of Oz and a rainbow, and then I said somewhere over the rainbow, and
Yeah,
then that brought tears to your eyes and mine as well.
it did because my mom and I would always listen to Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I spent a lot of time in Maui growing up, um,
So did I.
and we would Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh my
my dad used to take us there every summer because he had an
I
office there.
I used to go there every summer, we had a condo
Oh,
there. Where in Maui?
Lahaina, was it? Would that make
Well,
sense?
okay,
I think,
yes,
yeah.
I know Lahaina. We were in Kihei,
Okay.
but it was so crazy because Nick's aunt also said, like, "Look for rainbows, that'll be your sign for your mom." And I was like, "Okay, like, whatever, like, generic rainbows."
Mm-hmm.
And then you had mentioned rainbows, and I was like, "Oh my god, she's probably talking about Somewhere Over the Rainbow,"
Yep.
because we used to listen to that song all the time.
And I said Wizard of Oz because Wizard of Oz is extremely significant to me. It's
Oh,
a
really?
major thing in my life from my childhood. So she connected with me in that way. First, she said to me Wizard of Oz, but then I saw the rainbow, and that was her way of saying it's about the song specifically. Tell me what you were going to say.
Yeah. Well, I was also just thinking when you first started communicating with her, you were like, "Was she 64?"
Oh,
And
yes.
I was like, "No, she was 68." And you were like, "I just keep hearing the Beatles song when
That's
I'm
right.
64." And I
Yep.
was like, "My mom loved the Beatles. Her favorite song was" oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it now, but it's my mom was like the Beatles gal. Like that was
That's
her
why
favorite all time.
like, sometimes when somebody is 64, I'll hear that song in my head. But also sometimes it's another way of getting you to say, you know, that song by the Beatles, and because it's so significant to her. It's
Yes, her
so yeah, go ahead.
her favorite song was In My Life. I just remembered that.
Oh,
And
right.
every time I hear that song, anytime I hear anyone mention the Beatles, I'm like, okay, mom. Like, but even you just saying, I keep hearing the Beatles, I'm like, okay, that's mom.
Yeah. First, that song is significant to me only because when I was a kid, I went to this place called Beach School. It was like a camp, day camp, but it was at the beach in Connecticut. And we had to do like a musical number. And we did When I'm
Oh, a
64,
number.
a musical number. And I had to wear, I was the husband and I had to wear I wore like a long beard. And my friend Kara, I'll have to send this to her. She was the wife. She was my wife, and we acted out the whole song. And so I always think of that song when I think of the Beatles for some reason. But how does that because I know the thing that so wrapped up in all of this miraculous spirit communication is also grief. And that's the part that I think well, first of all, grief and loss, that's the they say it's like the great equalizer. Like the one thing we all have in common is that we all die. We all are going to lose people that we love. And grief is this heavy thing that we never it's there always every day for the rest of our lives when we lose somebody. It just changes.
Yes.
How would you say I mean, I just love to hear your experience of that, like of grief, but also of having an experience like this. How does it contribute to your healing?
Yeah, so I mean, my mom got sick um on she she fell and broke her hip on her last trip on August 29th. And I took her to the hospital. They found cancer. She was officially diagnosed beginning of September. I want to say like September 8th or something. And it turns out it had spread to her brain. So she was just like not acting right. And she did 14 rounds of radiation, but she ended up dying on October 25th. So it was a very quick
It's so quick.
timeline of like my mom's gonna be here, when I have my babies, when I get married, to holy shit, my mom is not gonna make it to my birthday, like on September 22nd. And I was the only one who really took care of her. So I had a lot of like anxiety, like, am I doing enough for her? Am I doing enough for myself? Um, and when she did pass, it was almost a sense of relief for her, but also for me because like I was just so on edge. Like I had to be there with her 24/7 and I knew how badly she did want to pass. She even had me look into like um assisted suicide, I guess you would
Yeah.
call it. Um but she was just so ready. She was like, I am done. I'm trapped in this freaking body. I'm done, girlfriend. Um, and she did not cry throughout the entire thing except once because she said she was worried about me. She didn't know like what would happen to me and she was worried because her and I had such a strong bond that, I would not be okay. And even in the videos I was watching that I took, um, I just kept saying, it's okay, mom. Like, I'll be okay. Don't worry. You do your thing. I will be fine. I know you will always be here. And I've always believed in spirits. I've always believed in being able to communicate after someone passes. And I've always been super interested in that. But I had never experienced it firsthand. Um, when she did pass, I think I was like in a lot of shock. And then the holidays came up and I kind of just like pushed everything down. I was like, I'm fine. I was like, I'm good. Like even Nick was like, are you sure you're good? Like you were acting like way too normal. I'm like, I'm good. And right after New Year's, I was like, holy shit. Like this sucks. I miss my mom. I don't know who to talk to, who to like go to like with my problems. I missed waking up in the morning and smelling her brewing coffee. Like, it's just, like, little things like that where I even, like, sometimes I'll go to text her and I'm like, "Oh, shit." Like,
Mm,
I still do text her sometimes, but
yeah.
grief was really weird. Like, it was really delayed for me, and I had probably a period of a month where I was like, "This sucks, like, I don't know what to do. I can't live in this area anymore. Every time I turn, I just see my mom, and, like, that's my best friend, like, I miss her so much." And I think in February, I was actually looking into getting a medium reading, because I wanted to see if my mom was okay, and I just wanted to talk to her again. And I know it was probably me trying to accept it through grief and the 5 stages, whatever, but I don't know, I never really pursued it, which is so crazy because then I just had you sit right next to me and you were like, "Here you go." And I could have never even paid for a reading as good as that, just because it was so natural.
Yeah.
And I totally believe that, like you said, my mom set that up. That was
Hmm.
all her doing. And my mom believed in it too. She went to one of these like medium reading shows with me, and she totally believed in it. And I would even talk to her. I'm like, "Okay, mom, like what's your thing going to be like what are you going to show me once you're gone?" And she's like, "I don't know, Maddie. Like I don't know. I'm a little concerned with other things right
Yeah.
now."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Mom, like how are we going to talk after this? What are you talking about?" Um and I had her like write me some letters and stuff just to like I had her write me a letter to open up on my wedding day and for when I have a baby, just cuz
And
I
you haven't
want her
opened
to
them yet.
no.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, I I keep telling everyone, I'm like, if there's a fire, that is those are the two things that I'm grabbing.
Absolutely. That thank you for your
Yeah.
vulnerability. That is so, I just think it's really important to talk about grief as well because this stuff is like so exciting. It's like, oh my God, we can talk to people who are on the other side. Like they can leave their bodies, but we can still talk to them. And it's so cool and it's so exciting. And I get so excited about it, but I never want to forget. And I don't. I mean, that's why I love doing the work I do because it allows me to be able to hold people in their grief, share that space with them, also meet the people that they lost. And like I'm meeting them for the first time and like we're having this very sacred experience together that I always pray right beforehand will be healing to you and healing to them in whatever way from the other side. Um, I mean, on the other side, I always ask that all of the messages that come through be in your highest and best good and in the highest and best good of the spirit world, and that I can be a clear channel. And I know sometimes as a human, I'm not able to interpret exactly right. And we always just pray that please just help me help you wherever I might have deficiencies in my ability to translate. I just want to be able to do it to the best of my ability. And the other thing I just remember too is that I know your mom told me that it was her birthday. I said, is her birthday in June? And I said, she just told me that you're planning to do some kind of like a ceremony or something on her birthday. And tell me
Yeah,
what you said about that.
I hadn't told anyone about that. I hadn't even told Nick about that. It was just something in my mind where I was like, because my mom straight up was like, "I do not want a funeral. I don't
She
want
told
people
me that
showing up
too.
for me."
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, "I don't want people moping for me. Like, I don't want that." And I'm like, "Okay, what about like a celebration of life? Like, we'll all just like drink rum and cokes." And that was
Yeah.
her thing. And like, we'll just like talk about funny stories about you. And she's like, "If you want to, like, I don't care."
Yeah.
And it's been quite some time. I know people like to do, celebrations right after the passing, but it took me a while to really process it. And in my mind, I was like, what if we did something like for her birthday? Like her birthday is June 2nd, like that'll allow me to process things a little bit more and not be a total mess. But I hadn't told anyone. I guess my mom knew about it and told
Yeah.
you. She's like in my she's like,
And that's
"Girl, what?"
that's the other thing to remember is that They read our thoughts. When we leave our bodies, we don't have mouths, so we communicate telepathically. And that's how I communicate with her is telepathically, and that's how you communicate with her is telepathically. So even your thoughts, and don't worry, they're not judging our thoughts. They're not going, "Oh, you just had this horrible thought," or "You just said this rude thing about me." They don't care. It's not like here. There's no judgment attached to it. But just the fact that you have that thought, she's with you and she knows that you're planning to do that for her. And she had said to me, which I said to you, she said, "It's not for me, it's for you. If it
Yeah,
helps bring you peace, I want you to do that." If
that
it's like,
is
yeah,
that is exactly what she told me when I was talking to her about a celebration of life. She's like, "If it brings you peace, then
yep.
by all means."
She's
Wow.
such a free spirit. And that's what she and I are very much alike in that way. Like I think she's just very she's just in fact, remember when I said to you that she took your face in her hands, first of all, and she was like, "Honey," and she goes, and she did this thing. She goes, "It's all good." And for those who are listening and not watching, she did this thing with her hands. And when I told you that, I'm getting chills again. You and Hilda also confirmed that tell me how you received that.
My mom would always say that with the same, "Honey, it's all good. We are fine. It's all good."
Yep,
Like, I can visually and, like, clear as day, I can see her doing that and hear it.
I could too. I saw her, and a lot of what mediums do is a lot of times you'll be giving a reading and the person says, "I feel like you told me, I feel like I just spent a plane ride with my mom," because we also take on their mannerisms. We also take on like a look or an expression that they would say, and that's their way too of saying kind of living through the medium, um, so that you can get a feeling that it's really them. And that's why I call myself, and many others do, an evidential psychic medium. Is we're bringing through evidence that really is your mom, that I'm not making this up. Even if I Googled her, all I could have said was, "This is how she passed. This is when her funeral was. This is when her birthday was. This is what her mom's name was." But there are things that only you know that are, first of all, only in your head, or things that happen when no one else was in the room. And she gave so much of that to let you know that, "Hey, honey, I'm still here." Like there is
Oh
no
my gosh.
separation between us. And I'd love to hear too, even before you met me, or spoke with Nick's aunt, what kind of signs have you received from her or communication, would you say? Or have you?
I mean, my sister and I will kind of text back and forth and, um, we both had this random notification pop up on our phone from Spotify of a Beatles, listen to the Beatles, which is so crazy because you even brought up
Yeah.
the Beatles. We were like, "What the hell? Like, what is going on?" And, um, you had mentioned flickering lights, and I I don't know why, but the lights in my kitchen, and even
Mhm.
after I said kitchen, you were like, "I'm seeing kitchen lights flickering." The lights in my kitchen will flicker kind of, and it's on a dimmer, and sometimes if it's not, like,
Yeah.
all the way up, it'll flicker a little bit, so I was just like, "Oh, it must not be, like, all the
Yeah.
way up." It's all the way up. Like,
Yep.
that's
It's her.
that's
It's
mom.
her. And she has so much energy that she just knows how to do this. It feels like this is not her first time around. She understands how all of this works, and that's what's so cool is she's just so easily accessible. And I know that it doesn't replace the hug, feeling her, smelling her, hearing her voice, and being able to rehash the day and get support and make each other laugh and do things together. But she definitely comes through with just like, we're always together. We're like twins. She said we're twins. Like, because it's I see you so attached at like I don't know if I saw like I don't know, I know it's now called conjoined twins, but I heard like Siamese twins is what they used to
Yeah.
call it. And that's kind of, I don't know if she ever said that to you, but it was like, that's just
She
how I
didn't,
heard
but
her.
that's
Yeah,
totally us,
it just
like, joined
sounded
at the
like that.
hip.
Joined at the hip. And I think that's so beautiful and such a testament to how the bonds of love never die. And it's not just an expression. It's not just, we don't just say, "Oh, she'll always be in your heart," like as a memory. She'll always be in your heart as a memory, but also she'll literally be part of your soul. And that's like the most exciting thing. And that's why this podcast is called Magic is Real, because the things that we think are magic are not magic. It's the way the universe works, but we've been led to believe that it's outside of the scope of reality, or that it's paranormal or supernatural, when really it's just normal and natural. And um and she proved it by coming through for us. Is there anything else that you wanted to share just off the top of your head about
Um,
any of this?
I mean, I also do remember because I had asked you if she's with her family, or anything like that, and you're like, "I think she's with, like, a brother,"
Oh
and
yeah,
her brother did pass, and then you
I
said
said that
the name
I said the name
Linda.
Linda, but you told me her sister's name was Lydia.
Lydia, yeah,
Yep.
and I was like, "Yep, that's my mom's sister too, she's passed as well." I like,
It's
it's so
unbelievable.
random,
She's so good at
and
communicating.
yeah, and Nick's aunt as well, she had mentioned, um, that my dog was like my mom was, like, kinda preparing for my dog to pass, and my dog is
That's
pretty
right.
old, and you had known that as well. You were
Yeah.
like, "Your mom is really connected to this dog, he's old, right? Like, he's getting up there." I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
he's 14."
Yep. I feel she's getting ready to receive him, and they're going to be besties on the other side. Like, it's in fact, today I asked her if she had anything, and I don't know why, if I made this up, but she said, I thought I heard her say like Springer Spaniel. Do you have like, is that a breed you've ever looked at? Or I saw like a Cocker Spaniel with curly ears, but I heard more like Spring Spaniel is the words I heard. And did she have one?
She had a really fluffy dog, his name was Ted Bear. I'm not
A
sure of
Ted Bear.
the I'm not sure of the breed, but Nick's aunt mentioned to me that my mom had a dog with her.
Okay.
Like, she saw my mom with a dog, and I was like, "Oh, like, that must have been her childhood pet." But maybe that was the
I
breed, I don't
know.
know.
We'll have to see it. Just it was more of a word that came through, and I wasn't quite sure about it, but I was like, I heard something about it. It just feels like a new dog, and maybe that's something in the future. Not that you have to go seek one out, but it feels like there may be one, or she might have had one, so we'll have to confirm. But when I call on her, she usually just drops something in, and it's incredible the way that she does. So I know there will be more messages from her, and she has also created this bond for us, which is the coolest thing. And so many times we meet people and we assume it's just a coincidence, or we think nothing of it. We meet people all the time, no big deal. But I also just wanted to stress how much spirit does bring people together, for better or for worse. Sometimes they bring people into your life that are toxic, that are going to hurt you, that are going to screw you over. But it's all part of your life path. And there is something to be, even the relationships that went sour. It's a good reminder to always just embrace that, because they taught you something. You know, that it was
Right.
part of your evolution. Sometimes one of my soulmates is somebody I had a very, very, very toxic relationship with for about 10 years. And even though we trigger each other like crazy, um, and now we're friends because we've both done so much healing. We're all good, but I don't even really talk to him that often because we just, it's like we get under each other's skin. I consider him I know he's a soulmate. He needed to show me the work that I still needed to do on myself many years ago. He is the impetus for my turning to healing and seeking a 12-step program. And um, sometimes your soulmate is somebody that one of your soulmates is somebody that was just meant to come in and turn your life upside down. But it's also these beautiful friendships that are formed. And so I thank Paula for bringing us together, and for Paula for, I know she would have been here like I know she's sitting right with you, but I know that she's also excited to share her story with everyone in hopes that it will help somebody and bring some comfort to somebody that is really missing their best friend.
Oh my gosh, I just got chills when you
So
said
did
that
I.
she was there. Like, I can seriously, like, feel her
Yeah.
in my house sometimes. Like, it feels like I'm not alone here, and, like, I know that my mom is with me all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I can hear her witty remarks, like, and I know that I'm probably just, like, making up in my head of, like, something that she probably said, but who knows? Maybe I'm not.
Maybe you're
Like, maybe
not.
it's actually my mom talking to me, and my mom would always tell me people come into your life and they're either a blessing or a lesson. And that is exactly what you were just saying. Like, people are either going to bless your life and, you know, bring in positivity and exactly what you need, or they're gonna teach you what you needed to know.
That's why she and I are friends.
I
Maddie,
know, and, like, you remind me so much of my mom too, and I'm just so glad that I met you.
me too. Oh my gosh, I am so happy that we're friends. Thank you for being here and sharing this story with me. This I know that I'm excited to get this one out there. I'm actually so excited. I'm going to put it out tonight because I'm just so excited for people to meet you as well and to hear our story because I think it's like one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me. So
Oh
thank
my
you,
gosh,
Paula.
it was awesome. Thank you so much for having me on here and for
My
being so nice
pleasure.
to me and for letting me talk to my mom again and for reconnecting me with my best friend.